Hey guys, it's Cassie, and this is Tuesday's version of Milso TV. What to say? So, for my topic, we're picking our own, and I think I might be the only Navy or military child that is continuing the military lifestyle, not only through my relationship, but through my own future. So, I'm going to talk about what it's like to grow up military and how that influences my military relationship and how the fact that I'm going to be joining the Navy is going influences my military relationship. So I'm going to talk about the military, lots of it. So you guys all know that my dad is in the Navy, and I come from a long line of Navy. My great grandpa was in the Navy, my grandpa was in the Navy, my uncle was in the Navy, my other uncle's in the Navy, and my dad's in the Navy. It's all Navy. And oh my goodness, it makes my relationship ridiculous sometimes. So, you guys all know Jacob. That's Jakey. My Jakey. Aw, that cutie. He's so adorable. So this is my family. Yeah, that's my dad. And this was when he was getting promoted to lieutenant. I'm the tall child. I was in second grade. The two little girls are my two little sisters. Their names are Amanda and Melissa, and that's my mommy. This was like 10 years ago. That's the most recent picture I have of my dad in uniform. But anyway, so that's kind of my family. Grew up Navy, Navy life, Navy everything. Yay, Navy. So since I grew up around it, I knew a lot about what to expect. So I knew a lot about deployments, and I knew what kind of communication to expect and what kind of relationship to expect. But just because you grow up Navy, don't think you're all knowing. Because when Jacob came to leave, I bawled. I cried my eyes out. I never cried when my dad left, ever. It was always just another deployment. It never bothered me. Jacob left, and I bawled like a little baby. Yeah, in front of him, I cried. So it's a really different feeling. Like missing my daddy versus missing Jacob is just a completely different kind of missing. It's like I knew my dad was coming back and stuff. So it's like it's a little different. So really take that into consideration. Like if you're a military kid and you're in a military relationship, don't expect it to be the same. It's not going to be. Um Also, deployments have changed a lot over the years. When my Nana and Pappy were together, he wrote her letters, snail mail, every day. That's the only way they had to communicate. When my dad was deployed, we were just getting through emails. Now I have Skype, I have phone calls. I mean, my communication with Jacob is so much different. So, again, deployments have changed over the years. So, just because you've been through it in the past, don't always expect it to be the same in the future. Also, growing up military, when I came out about having a God, that sounds like I'm coming out about being gay. When I came out about having a military relationship, I got a lot of criticism. Like, it really impacted the way I went about telling my parents about Jacob. My mom was really cool with it. Like, she really could care less. My dad, on the other hand, I was kind of trying to keep it from because I was really hesitant. Because growing up, I heard a lot of the typical, like, what everybody thinks about military men. I heard about, like, them all being man whores. All they want is to get in your pants. They'll say anything to sleep with you. All they want to do is hit it and quit it. I also heard a lot of, like, stories about them being fuck ups and, like, all being stupid, and they're just kids who couldn't get into college and blah, 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 and they were too lazy to try in high school. And a lot about them, like, just wanting to go out and drink and party and everything. So, and I know guys like that. Don't get me wrong. I know guys who are just like, dude, just hit it and quit it. One of Jacob's best friends, when me and Jacob first started talking, was giving him shit because he just wanted Jacob to hit it and quit it with me. And that just kind of goes to show, like, those people are out there. And my dad's seen it. Like, my dad, growing up, I heard a lot of stories about, like, my dad having to get rid of, like, send people to captain's mass and stuff because they were drunk on the ship and all sorts of random stuff. And, like, I heard a lot of stories growing up about how terrible young military guys can be. But that's not always true. Jacob didn't want to hit it and quit it with me. Like, he's not a man whore. He's really faithful. Like in Thailand, his friends were giving him shit and giving me shit because on Skype because he got hit on by a hooker and he was like, no. And his friends were all like, yeah, he's pussy whipped by you, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, well, good. He's a good guy. Like, just because military men have that reputation doesn't necessarily mean it's true. I mean, don't get me wrong, it can be true. There's a lot of guys out there who just want to party and live it up. And I mean, before Jacob, I did have another military relationship. He's not my first Navy relationship. And the guy that we broke up before he went to boot camp. Well, after boot camp. But we kind of stayed weird. And then he ended up, after we were officially done, getting a girl knocked up, getting kicked out of the Navy for providing alcohol to minors and driving intoxicated. So, I mean, there are those kind of guys out there. But just because one guy has that reputation and just because the older military guys look down on the younger military guys doesn't mean they're all like that. So that really influenced like how I went about introducing Jacob to my family and talking about him. So like I was really super nervous bringing him into my family, like bringing him up and being like, I'm dating a Navy sailor, because my dad's Navy and my dad's really critical and he lives by those myths of the typical enlisted guy. So that really made it nervous, and I did it. So anybody who's going through that same thing, you can do it too. Just pick your words really carefully. Like, don't be all like, I'm dating a sailor and I don't care what you say about it, blah, blah, blah. When I talked to my dad about it, I was like, Dad, he's a really good guy, you know. He's in the Navy to pay for college, and he's only going to be in for his 4 years. And I pointed out all the good things. So don't be like, he's in the Navy and that makes him honorable. Because, let's face it, not every military guy is the best character. It happens. Sometimes they're shitty guys, but that's just in their character. It's not the military that makes them shitty, and it's not the military that makes them honorable. It's a great job. I love the fact that Jacob picked that as his career, because I really respect it and I'm really proud of him bettering himself through a career. But it doesn't define his personality. His personality would be the same with or without the military. So I had to make that really evident to my dad when I was first bringing him home. I had to point out like all the things that Jacob did. Like, he's a Boy Scout and he's very close to his parents and he's very religious, and I pointed out all the good things like that separated him from his career. So making him seem more like a civilian really helped me bring him to my dad. Also, I got a lot of criticism about like, oh, Cassie, you know what you're getting yourself into. Why are you with him while he's deployed, blah, blah, blah. Deployment breakups work for some people. My grandparents broke up every time my pappy was deployed. My mom and dad were married by the time he was in the Navy, so that never happened. But deployment breakups don't work for everybody. Me and Jacob just have the personality types that we made the decision and we talked about it before he left. And we did consider breaking up. But we talked about it and neither of us wanted that, and neither of us felt like that would be better for our relationship. And we thought it would be best for us to stay together because we love each other and we are happy together. And I support him and he supports me, and it's a mutual, like, I give him support that he needs. And the only reason we were really considering breaking up or whatever is because he didn't want to put me through it again. And if you're a military child in a military relationship, that might be a big concern. You've been through it before. And do you really want to go through it again? And that's a personal thing. I knew I could do it. I knew that he was worth the wait and he was beyond worth the wait and I could handle it. But it's a personal thing. That was my experience. Just because I waited doesn't mean it's not best for you. My Nana and Pappy broke up and now they're married and they've been married for 60 years. So it really is a personal thing. And it's not always a bad decision. So really consider that. Because it happened to my family. And my family did bring it up a lot when he was leaving. Like, oh, you guys can break up. It won't ruin your relationship and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, it was something that I had to face with my family, and I had to tell them, no, I'm staying in this relationship. I'm going to see it through. And now they're fine with it. Now it's just kind of like, oh yeah, Cassie's boyfriend's deployed and he'll be back soon. So, yeah. I can talk about good things about being a Navy brat and dating a sailor. Like, I can pick him up from his ship. I can run errands with him at the necks. I can get on the Navy base, but those really aren't important. The last thing I want to talk about is the fact that I am future Navy. My dad introduced me to my recruiter a while ago, and it scared me shitless at first. Like, the thought of dating a sailor and knowing I would be going in really worried me. Like, I'm spending all this time waiting for him. Is he going to be able to do the same? But now I'm really not worried about it anymore. Like, we talked about it, and he loves my career option, and he's even thinking about re-enlisting after he finishes college. And I'm going to be commissioned in 3 years once I graduate college to pay for my medical school, and then I will be stationed somewhere with the VA hospital and working at the hospital. So it's kind of a little bit different of a track, and he's thinking about going back and being a pilot. So, I mean, the Navy is just, it's a lifestyle for me. It's what I've come to know, and it's almost even a comfort zone. So knowing that I'm joining really impacted me and Jacob's relationship at first. It really made us think, like, how long term is this going to be? Is it really going to work out? And we did talk about it, because we are thinking about taking the next step soon and getting engaged, and we're hopefully moving in together soon. So when he gets back. So, and if we do get engaged, we're gonna have a long engagement before we get married. So, yeah. But that's beside the point. The point of the matter is that we did discuss my future in the Navy, and um, it really worried me, and it didn't end up influencing my decision to join. So I guess the moral of that is, if you really think the military is the best bet for you, don't let your significant other keep you from that. The Navy will really work with you. I know the Navy, I say Navy because I'm Navy, but the Navy will really work with you to help if you're together. I know a couple who is in the Army, and they're my dad's friends, and like, she would get stationed like maybe an hour from him, because they won't station couples at the same base, but they'll station them like really close. So, like, for example, in California, I might get stationed at Coronado and he might be stationed in San Diego. Well, we could still live together and still stay together. They'll really try and work with you to make it easy for you to stay together. And it doesn't always work out. So just know that, like, if you're joining and he's joining and you're together, you might end up stationed in California and Virginia. It happens. You get separation pay and all that stuff, and it'll work out. But don't let the differences influence your relationship, because if the military is the best choice for you, like it is for me, then you guys can work it out and talk about it. Really just sit down and be like, have a heart to heart and be like, look, I think that you're Army, I think I should join the Army because this and this and this and this and this. Or you're Navy and I want to go to medical school, and the Navy will pay for my medical school. So in 3 years, I'm going to go commissioned after I get my undergraduate, which is what I'm doing. Great option, guys. Other than that, oh, one last thing. If your parents are in the military, they can find out anything. Anything. I promise. I didn't even tell my dad about Jacob because I was really hesitant. And he goes, so what about this new boyfriend? Like, what? Oh, I hacked Facebook and found out you were in a relationship, and I know he's on the Cape, and I know he is an E3, and I know he's an operations specialist, and blah, 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 blah. And I could hack his email if I wanted to, so don't be sending anything bad. So don't doubt military men. They can find out anything. Anything. It's crazy. Yeah. Maybe my dad's just the only one that's that crazy, but just in case you're a military daughter and a military SO, think about that one. So yeah, I think that's all I'm gonna say for today. That's kind of my take on being a military kid and in a military relationship and future military. God, I'm haunted by the Navy. It just won't leave me alone. That's all. If you have any questions, email us at tumblrmilsos@gmail.com. Follow our Tumblr, which is milsotv.tumblr.com, and follow me, which is rude-and-reckless.tumblr.com. And now I'm gonna go babysit. Yay! I love my princess. I'm watching my princess today, and we're getting ice cream. Sorry, tangent. All right, bye guys. Your turn off.